Are you still drinking?
Yep.
Do you want to talk about it?
Eh. So that happened. So, since we're set for another 3 years of coalition rule, it's worth asking the question, how the hell did this happen? Before the election, ABC's numbers guru, Anthony Green, said that each party needed around a 1% swing to guarantee the election for them. That means that each party needed 1% more votes on a two-party preferred basis than they did in the previous election to guarantee government. Every two-party poll taken this year had Labour winning by at least that amount. Hell, the exit polling from election day had Labour winning 52 to 48, again in a two-party preferred vote. So, what the hell happened? Well, as of the time of recording, with just under 75% of the vote counted, the coalition has achieved just a 0.56% swing in their direction. But the swing happened in all the right places, particularly in Queensland, Australia's most conservative state, which has been variously described as our Texas, our Georgia, or recently, our Alabama. The problem with two-party preferred polling, of course, is that it only looks at two parties. Both Liberals and Labour had a swing against them compared to the last election, of 0.7 and 0.8% respectively. Also of note is that minor parties suffered a 2.2% swing against them Australia-wide. So, where did these votes go? Well, a whopping 3.4% went to Clive Palmer's Australia United Party, and an additional 1.7% went to Pauline Hanson's One Nation. What was it that a certain strapping, sober young lad said about the UAP in his election preview video? If you vote the way the UAP wants you to vote, your second preferences will go to the coalition. Now, since the UAP doesn't have much of a chance of winning in the lower house, any of those votes will end up just being votes for the coalition, essentially keeping the same government we have now. So perhaps on some level we should have seen this coming. And by we, I mean professional people. One small harbour that people are taking refuge in is the fact that Clive Palmer's UAP won 0 seats in either House of Parliament. Suck it, Clive, you spent $60 million for nothing! That's a nice thought, but one I fundamentally disagree with. See, Clive Palmer didn't really want to be in Parliament. I mean, when he was an MP, he showed up the least amount of days out of any Member of Parliament, and he fucked off to Fiji just a couple of days before this year's election. The man did not care. Honestly, I think Palmer spent $60 million, allegedly, to advance his interest of fighting Chinese business interests in Australia and to get a Liberal government installed. A Liberal government whose personal and corporate tax rates will certainly appeal to a wealthy bastard like him. I wonder, when will he see a return on that $60 million investment? Honestly, we should think less of the UAP as a failed political party, and more of it as the most successful example of guerrilla marketing in politics, maybe ever. But while I'm here, are there any actual positives to be gleaned? It was nice to see Tony Abbott get booted from his seat in Warringah, which he's held for 25 years. The Independent, who's taken his place, is fairly conservative in her own right, with the biggest point of difference just being that she believes climate change exists. So it's only a net win for the country because of how horrible Tony Abbott was. But still, it's nice to see him gone. I look forward to skipping over his op-eds in The Australian. Just kidding. I don't read the fucking Australian. Likewise, egged Nazi scumbag Fraser Anning has lost his seat in the Senate, after securing just 1.4% of the vote in Queensland. This is a pretty atrocious result for a sitting senator, especially one who'd garnered so much media attention. As of right now, he's losing to animal justice and hemp, for God's sake. Another small light of positivity is that all 6 senators from the Greens who are up for re-election look like they've retained their seats. Hopefully they'll be able to form a pretty nice crossbench in the Senate and curb some of this government's worst ideas. But on to the main question. Just how fucked are we? fucked. A lot of leftists like to cry that at the end of the day, since both of the major parties are capitalist, there's no real difference between them, that they are essentially the same thing. If we were looking at the political spectrum as a whole, there is some truth to that. However, when we look at some big issues, there's a real impact to the coalition winning this election. For one thing, this election was a devastating loss for the climate and the environment. The coal-fetishizing Scott Morrison has gone out of his way to guarantee that the current Minister for the Environment, Melissa Price, will retain her position in the upcoming environment. Melissa Price is, of course, a former mining executive. Fossil fuel industries will continue to have carte blanche to do whatever they want in this country. If you're one of these people who is trying to spin it around by saying, well, 3 years of this government will help push other Australians to the left, I don't know what to say. I don't think that'll happen. 3 years of the Tony Abbott government didn't start a communist revolution. It didn't even ensure a win for the centre-left. I've just yet to see any proof that accelerationism is a real thing. So, where does this leave us? Well, in a similar place to a few months ago, really. If you're like me and you exist in a fairly privileged or comfortable position, this election might not change that much of your day-to-day life. But if you're someone counting on government funding to survive, say through New Start or Youth Allowance, things are about to get even rougher. That goes double for anyone seeking asylum in Australia, and this is also horrible news for anyone who wants to see more rights for LGBT+ people or Indigenous people, among others. I want to stress that a Labour victory wouldn't have solved any of these problems by far. But, now that we're here, there's a real potential for all of these problems to get way worse. See, the coalition campaigned under such vague policies that we don't really know what they're going to do next. So the best thing to do, if you actually want to oppose them, is to stay informed. You need to stay up to date with the comings and goings of this government, and keep those around you up to date as well. Conservative governments thrive when no one's paying attention. So, when they try and slash benefits, write to your state's senators, particularly the ones who sit on the crossbench. When the climate comes under attack again and again and again, you need to be out in the street protesting with people. Make a protest sign with a Simpsons reference on it and get on the news. Make your voice heard, support everyone you can, and like I said in my last video, argue for incremental change wherever possible. And if you're someone who needs to hear this, maybe cut down on the drinking. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, comment, the things that successful YouTube channels ask you to do. If you want to harass me on Twitter, I'm at HardcoreLime. We're gonna make it.